Before you try to understand what ended, stay with this until the end. What you're feeling isn't random, and clarity won't come from rushing past this moment. You may notice an empty, neutral feeling settling in. Not sadness, not relief, just absence. The things that once pulled your attention no longer reach you the same way. This is not detachment, it is transition. A space where old emotions have dissolved, but new ones have not formed yet. This moment feels uncomfortable because it has no familiar shape to hold on to. It asks you to stay present without answers, trusting this pause fully, slowly. This phase is not a mistake or a delay. It appears when a cycle finishes internally before it ends externally. Your nervous system is releasing a rhythm it no longer needs to carry. What feels like nothing happening is actually something settling into place. A quiet recalibration you cannot yet name, but can sense in moments of stillness. This pause exists so the ending can complete itself fully, without being rushed or forced into meaning too soon. This is why the idea of going back feels tempting right now. Familiar patterns feel safer than open space. But returning would not bring peace. It would bring repetition. You would be stepping into an old rhythm that no longer matches who you are becoming. The discomfort you feel when you imagine going back is not fear. It is awareness. It is your inner truth signaling that the door already closed, even if your mind keeps checking the handle. The silence surrounding you now is not punishment or loss. It is integration. Your system is absorbing what ended, what was learned, and what no longer needs to be carried forward. Growth does not always feel expansive or inspiring. Sometimes it feels quiet, subtle, almost empty. But beneath this stillness, something important is reorganizing with precision, aligning what remains with what is ready to emerge next, without pressure or urgency. You may notice that even joy feels distant now. Music does not move you the same way. Conversations feel thinner, less engaging. This does not mean something is wrong with you. It means your inner identity has shifted faster than your environment. Your soul has already moved forward, while your surroundings still reflect an earlier version of you. This disconnect creates numbness, not because you are empty, but because you are no longer aligned with what once defined you. Trying to force clarity during this phase will only create more inner noise. Answers do not arrive through pressure or overthinking. They surface through stillness. This moment is not asking you to fix, analyze, or explain what happened. It is asking you to stop pushing against the silence, not because nothing matters, but because control cannot guide you here. Presence is the only thing that allows this transition to complete itself naturally and without distortion. Emptiness is often misunderstood during moments like this. It is not lack or failure. It is space. Space where old patterns can no longer survive. Space where familiar reactions lose their grip. This openness feels uncomfortable because it removes reference points you once relied on. But this space is intentional. It exists so a new direction can form without interference. If you rush to fill it, you will rebuild the same structure with different details, repeating what already ended. Many people try to escape this phase as quickly as possible. They distract themselves, attach to something new, or return to what feels familiar. But when this quiet ending is avoided, the cycle does not disappear. It repeats later with more intensity and less choice. This pause is not an obstacle. It is an invitation, an opportunity to close a chapter cleanly, without dragging unresolved energy into what comes next and calling it a new beginning. Allow yourself to remain in this moment without labeling it or trying to define it. You do not need to know what comes next yet. You do not need a clear plan or direction. This pause exists so what ended can fully dissolve. without being carried forward unconsciously. Staying here is not stagnation. It is completion. When something is allowed to finish properly, it does not follow you into the future disguised as confusion, doubt, or emotional weight. The fact that you cannot emotionally return is the confirmation you keep overlooking. The door closed internally before it became obvious externally. Your mind keeps checking for explanations, but your body already knows the truth. What you are grieving is not the situation itself. It is the version of you that once lived inside it. That version fulfilled its role. It no longer belongs to where you are now, and forcing it back only deepens the discomfort you feel. Not every ending requires explanation or closure in the way the mind expects. Some cycles complete themselves quietly, once their lesson has been integrated. The absence of drama does not mean the ending was incomplete. It means it was resolved internally. Silence is often the final stage of understanding. When nothing more needs to be said, life becomes quiet. That quiet is not emptiness. It is the signal that the cycle has finished its work and no longer demands your attention. You are not behind and you are not losing time. You are standing in a precise space where something new can emerge without distortion. This phase feels empty because it is uncluttered. There is nothing left to process, defend, or maintain. That clarity may not feel comforting yet, but it is powerful. It means the old structure has fully released you. What forms next will not be built on pressure or fear, but on alignment that feels quieter, steadier, and more honest. Let this cycle remain closed without revisiting it for proof or reassurance. The quiet you are experiencing is completing something that words cannot finish. What comes next will not ask you to return, explain, or repeat yourself. It will ask you to move forward differently, with less force and more awareness. Trust that this ending did its work fully. When a chapter closes this softly, it is because nothing else is required from you there anymore, and your energy is already needed elsewhere. After an ending like this, time can feel strange. Days pass, but nothing seems to move forward emotionally. This can create anxiety, as if you should already be somewhere else by now. But this pause is not a delay in your life's progress. It is a stabilization period. Your inner system is adjusting to the absence of what once shaped your routine. Until that adjustment settles, movement would feel forced and misaligned. You might notice a subtle urge to recreate urgency, just to feel alive again. The mind looks for problems to solve because stillness feels unfamiliar. But urgency right now would only mask what is trying to settle. This phase is not meant to stimulate you. It is meant to recalibrate you. When you allow this slowness without resistance, your nervous system begins to reset. From that reset, clarity will arise naturally, without being forced or manufactured. There is a quiet strength forming underneath this stillness, even if you cannot feel it yet. Strength does not always announce itself through confidence or action. Sometimes it appears as restraint, as the ability to not rush, not attach, not react. This restraint is not weakness. It is discernment developing. You are learning how to move without repeating old patterns. That learning happens internally first, long before anything visible changes on the outside. You may start questioning whether this quiet means you made the wrong decision. Doubt often appears when familiar discomfort is gone and nothing has replaced it yet. The mind prefers known pain over unknown neutrality. But uncertainty here is not a warning sign. It is a transition signal. You are between identities, between directions. The absence of certainty does not mean regression. It means the old reference points no longer apply, and new ones have not fully formed. During this phase, comparisons can become louder. You may look at others moving forward and wonder why your life feels paused. But what you are witnessing is not their progress, only their movement. Movement without alignment often leads back to the same emotional place. Your pause is protecting you from that loop. It is allowing alignment to form before action resumes. When you move again, it will feel simpler, lighter, and less driven by fear or expectation. What feels like nothing happening is actually integration taking place beneath the surface. Your experiences are settling into wisdom rather than reaction. This cannot be rushed or accelerated without distortion. If you interrupt this process too soon, you may carry unfinished emotions into the next chapter. Let this internal organization finish its work. When action returns, it will no longer be driven by urgency or avoidance, but by clarity that feels calm, grounded, and quietly certain. You may notice that your tolerance for noise has changed. Loud environments, superficial conversations, constant stimulation can feel draining now. This is not withdrawal or disinterest. It is sensitivity recalibrating. Your system is learning what deserves access to your energy. As this awareness sharpens, distractions lose their appeal. You are not becoming distant from life. You are becoming more selective. This selectivity is what will guide your next direction. As this quiet continues, your priorities may begin to reorganize without conscious effort. What once felt urgent now feels optional. What once felt important now feels neutral. This shift can feel unsettling because it removes the structures that defined your motivation. But motivation based on pressure was never sustainable. What is emerging now is direction based on resonance. You will recognize it not by intensity, but by how naturally your energy moves toward it without inner resistance. You may realize that some goals you once chased no longer feel meaningful. This can create confusion, especially if those goals once gave you identity or status. But meaning evolves as awareness deepens. Letting go of outdated ambitions is not failure. It is refinement. You are no longer driven by proving, achieving, or escaping. You are being guided by coherence. What aligns now will not require constant effort to maintain. It will feel sustainable, even in its challenges. You are not meant to return to who you were before this shift. That version was built for conditions that no longer exist. Holding on to it would require shrinking your awareness. This transition is removing that option. You can feel the difference now. What once felt acceptable feels heavy. What once felt exciting feels hollow. This contrast is not loss. It is clarity. It shows you exactly what cannot follow you forward, no matter how familiar it seems. What comes after this phase will feel quieter than you expect. It will not arrive as a sudden breakthrough, but as a subtle sense of rightness. You will notice that decisions require less debate. Actions feel less forced. This is how alignment announces itself, not through intensity but through ease. Trust that this calm emergence is not the absence of purpose. It is purpose no longer fighting resistance. From here, movement resumes naturally, without needing to escape anything. If this resonated with you, write one word in the comments that describes what you're releasing in this phase. You don't need to explain it.